will you pick up a Bible in the pew in front of you, or in the book holder, and turn to page 835. Page 835. Hey guys, we're in the back row. Hey, back row. Bible, page 835. Okay, the beginning of Matthew's Gospel is what we're looking at here. Now notice where it starts. The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Those are important words. And he goes on and on. Abraham, the father of Isaac. Isaac, father of Jacob. So on and so on. David, father of Solomon. So on, so on. Jeconiah, Shealtiel, Zerubbabel, Eliakim. Pick out those names. On and on and on. And finally we get to 18, where it says, now the birth of Jesus Christ. This is what we got today. Matthew buried the lead. Don't you think? He buries the lead if he's telling us the story of the birth of Jesus Christ, which is what he's doing. All this stuff about the descendant of this person or that person who was married to the other person, all about Joseph and everything that Joseph was going to do. But isn't the really big story that God came to save us as a child? Isn't that the story? Isn't the really good news about the birth of the Savior of the world? Well, see, in Matthew's Gospel, you really have to look for it. Two little verses tucked way, way down in the copy. I think it's verses 24 and 25. Basically, it says this. Joseph married her. She had a son. He named him Jesus. Wow. Pretty skimpy on the details, yeah? Where's the shepherds? Where's the manger? All that jazz. Where's the star? Pretty skimpy on the details. Matthew, you can close the Bible if you like. You don't have to, but you can. Matthew, it seems, is less interested in kids than in kings. Both the political kings of his day and the religious king of the Jewish people. See, Isaiah and others had predicted a Davidic king, a king to come from the line of David who would rule forever. That was the prediction from the old days, from the prophets. And it was Matthew's belief that by the time of his writing of his gospel, this king had, in fact, arrived, and that it was, in fact, Jesus, born to Joseph, born to Mary, born of God. But Matthew buried the lead. See? Why? It's because if Jesus was to be the promised everlasting Davidic king, then he would challenge everything. And I think anger everyone. Every other king, every ruler, every nation, every structure, every organization, every people, every person. And the very act of announcing that this promised everlasting Davidic king had come was nothing short of insurrection and treason. That's what Matthew was announcing, that a new king has come. And imagine if you're the existing king and you hear somebody in some backwash country say, guess what? A new king has arrived. What does it sound like to you as the power? You say, oh, we'll see. That's treason. That's insurrection. It was, in fact, announcing that all known power structures were about to be overturned. Can you see why that would be dangerous for Matthew to say, all right? Can you? You can, right? If you read this gospel, Matthew's virtually shouting it, but quietly, cleverly, so as not to get himself and his people killed. That's what happens to people who take on the powerful king. See? The deal has always been the same, you guys. You shoot the king, you shoot at the king. What? Better not miss. If you shoot at the king, you better not miss. That's what's happening in Matthew's gospel. And you know what? It's no different today. You shoot at the king, better not miss. It's just that we have a lot more kings these days. And the church or the priest or the preacher had better not take them on. Or else. You don't believe me? Listen to this. What if someone came into this pulpit right here and said, right now, that our economy might be strong, but it is profoundly broken? That it works for people that look like me, but it doesn't work for lots of folks, and that's not what God ever intended. That's not what God would want. What if someone came in and said that? Would you say, good sermon? Would you say, go to H-E double toothpicks? What if a preacher came in here to this pulpit right now and told you that there are too many guns in the hands of too many people, causing too many tragic and avoidable deaths? What would you say? What if a preacher said, our healthcare system delivers the best care in the world, but the way we pay for it is deeply flawed, unjust, and unsustainable? What would you say? What would you say if a preacher came here and told you that there are too many abortions and that taking of any life grieves the heart of God? What would you say? What if a preacher stood right here and told you to ignore what the president says, that it's all sleight of hand and it doesn't matter because it is the judges that the president is placing and the economy that the president has pumped up, and that is the good news. Don't pay attention to anything else. What would you say? What would you say if a preacher said that the president is historically and demonstrably unfit for the office to which he was elected? What would you say? What would happen to such a preacher? What if I told you today that a child was born in Bethlehem who calls us to rethink and overturn all of our allegiances, to follow him, rejecting all other kings that we serve, be it money, job, career, power, prestige, possessions, party, or even country? A child who calls us instead to a life lived for the welfare of others, to justice, peace, mercy, true love, heartfelt neighborliness. What would you tell such a preacher? Shh. Bury it. Keep it down. We're trying to grow this church, not kill it. Who wants to hear all that? It's a dog-eat-dog world out there in the religious marketplace. The Catholics have all the money and the evangelicals have all the people. We're fighting for our survival here, preacher. Don't bring that mess in here. If I were to preach a truly upsetting, prophetic, scandalous, authentically gospel, which is to say treasonous sermon, what would you tell me? I think I know what you'd say. You'd say, shut up, sit down.